Hi, good morning. Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. I'm here with Richard Hudson-Miles from Rebel Workspace. How you doing, Richard?
I'm good, Mike. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You're most welcome. So, as always, if you could start us off and let us know a little bit more about yourself in terms of what you do, how long you've been doing it for, what Rebel Workspace is.
Well, I do loads of things. I describe myself as a property entrepreneur because I've got so
Yeah,
many ventures going on. I've got a SaaS project, an AI SaaS project in development. I've got a Airbnb portfolio. Uh, I also have a background as a PhD trained art historian. I've worked in the
nice.
create, yeah, I've worked in the creative industries all my life. So it's a mixed bag. But believe it or
Yeah,
not, I am bringing all of this into a synthesis, and that is with this concept, Rebel Workspace, which I'm here to talk about today. So, this is my major passion play at the moment, but it's pre-startup. But I think it might be interesting just to talk about a business from a pre-startup kind of founder's perspective for all your listeners.
excellent.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So Rebel Workspace, anyway, is kind of my attempt to kind of bring my property
Mhm.
interests and my creative industries background into alignment. So effectively, the concept is Rebel Workspace is a serviced office business offering design-led premium boutique offices, fully serviced, um, but catering for creative industries, SMEs, people who work in creative tech, graphic design, advertising, filmmakers, photographers, uh, maybe even fashion, the kind of creative industries as a whole, really. So we want to kind of build curated communities of creatives, but also connect those curated communities to the worlds of business. That's really important for me because my background is a kind of a bohemian creative, not naturally as a
Sure.
businessman, right? My entrepreneurial pivots came late in life. Maybe we'll get into that later, but one thing I've found is that creatives are maybe not naturally connected to the worlds of business, certainly not to the flows of capital and funding and investors and so forth.
Yeah.
So in my head, Rebel Workspace is more than just an office provider. It will be like a kind of an incubator where we can connect creatives not only to like-minded professionals, but to sort of bolt on accelerator programs which teach core business skills,
Mhm.
maybe end in pitch events where investors come in and bring funds to start realizing the ambitions of some of these creatives, but basically a space of synergy. And also vis-a-vis the normal corporate office environments, I want
Mhm.
these to be spaces of like rebel cool. I want them to feel like subcultures. So
Yeah.
our interior design is going to be much more like a Kreuzberg bar maybe than a slick Manhattan office. It's going to have vintage furniture. So
Yeah.
yeah, it should feel like a subculture, like a gang. But
Yeah. A corporate gang or a creative gang, a mix of all the of bringing together the two kind of, I suppose, tr more traditional sector with the more innovative creative sectors.
yeah, I want to bring business savvy with together with a bit of creative rebellion,
Hmm.
hence the name, but also a kind of an entrepreneur's belief that we can change the world through what we're doing and we can make things happen.
Cool. So what was the inspiration for that then? How is that? Has it just been an idea, or has it been something that's come about? Right, there's an idea, right, off we go, or has it been bubbling away in the background and you've developed it and now it's starting to come to into form?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, and um, this is would be a really long answer, but I'm going to have to give you the short version because
Yeah,
it's just a short project. But to answer that question is to answer my entire life's journey, right? But
yeah.
ultimately, when I was young, I wanted to be a painter. I went to art school to be a painter. I wanted to kind of be a counterculturalist. I wanted to kind of drop out, but at the same time, I was an activist. I wanted to change the world through music. I was in sort of bands, um, and I don't know, like live life to a different kind of rhythm. Um, in fact, and this is funny saying this as a property investor now. I very much othered the world of business and finance and property. I thought those were the evil capitalists ripping the world of its soul, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I only got into property when my parents died and I inherited an estate. I say an estate, that makes me sound like some kind of like minor royal, but it's not at all.
Yeah.
It was a small bungalow which my parents bought for 6 grand back in the day, and its value had gone up to 250,000. And it's a very modest property. That shows you like the capital appreciation on property, right?
Yeah.
They're real figures, those. And immediately, I didn't want this. I was a classic accidental landlord. I inherited a bungalow. The roof started leaking. All my friends were like, "Why haven't you turned the water off? You're supposed to turn the water off if no one's living in it. The roof goes through." It was a millstone around my neck, and I thought, I'm just going to sell it, get rid of this. But something in me told told me to not sell it, get an education about leverage, finance, investment, property
Yeah.
investment strategies, and I did, and built portfolio and a property investment business off the back of that, right? In Airbnbs. But I had this kind of cognitive dissonance, maybe a schizophrenia, I don't know what you call it, this disconnect between me as a um, kind of romantic anti-capitalist, I suppose, and
Yeah.
me as an outright capitalist and landlord, right? So I did a bit of values work. I'm really into Jungian psychoanalysis and kind of reflecting and synthesizing different parts of yourself. Um, and this is where the idea of Rebel Workspace came out of. I literally workshopped it with a really cool coach of mine,
Mhm.
um, who's called Rob Stewart. Shout out to Rob if you're there. Really
Hi,
sympathetic.
Rob.
Yeah. Really cool coach of mine, and we came up with this idea. And it was literally a project designed to encapsulate my interest in bringing creative communities together, collectivism, my interest in the arts, but also my business interest in property. So it's a pivot away from serviced accommodation, Airbnbs, into serviced offices. But it's much more than that now. It's become this passion project. It's like the thing I feel like I want to realize the most in the world, which is great, you know. To any founder out there, you must realize that if anyone's listening, right? That moment where you just realize that snap, the light bulb goes on, everything is aligned, your
Your
personal
purpose.
interest. Yeah, purpose, right? It sounds a bit grand, doesn't it? And a bit
Yeah.
pretentious talking about purpose, but yeah, once you find it, you really know, and it feels like every moment of your life, your soul or whatever, is kind of just fueled into this project, and it never feels like work. It just feels like fun.
It's
So,
like you've with this project, you've kind of made peace with yourself between that capitalist world that
yeah,
we have to live in and that part of you that you're born with that wants to express itself
yeah.
and doesn't sometimes know between those two worlds where it fits. But between this project, it's that individuation, if you're talking about Jungian stuff, that
Exactly that.
kind of comes at a certain point in life where it makes sense.
Exactly that, Mike. And that's a great point there. Like in my journey, one thing I've realized is like how many negative money mindsets were programmed into me from being from the working class, you know, that I had to get over that were actually
Yeah, yeah,
functioning as self-limiting beliefs, barriers, and so forth. And that kind of like demonizing of the kind of capitalist boss class was totally part of that. One thing that I've realized on my journey is you can do far more noble things with money, you know. If you are a purpose-driven, to use your phrase, purpose-driven entrepreneur, than you can without it, you know, standing
yeah.
at the sidelines, morally kind of like
That's the
stereo.
breakthrough.
Yeah, yes, yeah, exactly.
Awesome. I love that. So I've got a real good picture now of how we're here talking today about it. So let's dig a bit deeper then into where you're currently at. I guess where do you want this and where do you want this to go?
So we are currently at the stage of trying to find a launch site for Rebel Workspace.
Hmm.
All of my energies at the moment are trying to find the perfect home for this curated community of rebel cool alternative entrepreneurs, right? We were planning to launch in Salts Mill. We got when in Saltaire, if anyone knows that, it would have been a lovely venue, but the management there just decided they didn't like the brand image. You know, it wasn't co-working wasn't for them basically, which is fine. So we're looking for other venues. I've been in talks um with other people potentially, but I'm still haven't got a deal like lined up. But we're looking for, so if anyone's listening, maybe you can help me with this.
Sure,
Looking
put it out.
for, yeah, a large commercial office space that we can fit out and make it look really cool with the hippest interior design, like co-working spaces, kitchens, separate booths, content production studios. But we'll take care of all of that. I basically just need a space. So if anyone is listening from local councils sitting on stock that's not doing anything post-COVID, or even better, if there's a landlord there who invested on something pre-COVID in a building and whatever, the bar's gone out of business, the office above it is just going and
Yeah,
crumbling
yeah.
and gathering dust, we can start that cash flow in. And I'd be well willing for the launch site to talk about some kind of profit share model or a JV even, you know. So we're
And
creative industries professionals, but we're creative property entrepreneurs as well. There's always a
what,
creative deal to be had.
yeah, what sort of specific locations, or is it
Well,
open? What are you looking for when it comes to actual site
yeah.
specific?
Well, as you know, Mike, from our talks previously, I'm rooted in the geography and psychogeography even of West Yorkshire, so it's got
Yeah,
to be in West Yorkshire for me. That said, if the right opportunity emerges, I won't turn it down. Someone's just put something. I haven't had time to do the modeling on it yet, but someone's just put something on my desk from Sheffield, which is a town I love and would work really, really well
yeah, yeah.
for that. So. Yeah, I'm open to suggestions really. My main strategic areas at the moment are Leeds and West Yorkshire. I was looking at Bradford, but just last night I heard one of my friends, who's another entrepreneur in the space, is opening a brilliant multi-million dollar co-working space, so I won't go for Bradford.
And then you're looking to do one site and then replicate elsewhere. What's the vision?
Yeah, well, it's not to build a unicorn necessarily. This is more of a passion project
Yeah,
than an attempt to build like one of these massively scaling performance businesses. That said, these things work better at scale because you have the economies of scale in terms of like your staffing and your infrastructure. So
sure.
the plan would be to grow slowly and steadily. I would like 5 sites over the next 5 years. That would be a nice model.
Hmm.
Um, one thing I should say at this point is I've been accepted on the Northern Max Accelerator. At the moment, I'm on it currently to validate this concept and hopefully pitch this in front of investors at the end. And one of the things we've been working with in the modeling was what you would do for the 5 year plan. So, yeah, 5 sites over 5 years would be a nice program of growth. Um, but yeah, I think WeWork got to a $47 billion valuation at one point. I'm not so bothered about chasing those crazy numbers.
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty ego driven. That was heading that. So I've read a book about that, and interesting story.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it's a cautionary tale in many
Yeah.
respects, Adam Neumann. But there's part of me, it's that inner rebel can't help liking his shtick a little bit, you know.
Oh yeah, there's like anything, you can take a number of things from it. Whether you deem them positive, negative, that is your own judgment, isn't it? But there's things to learn, to grow from, and utilize from anyone's story. So yeah, you take from it what you like, Richard. In terms of challenges, then for you, uh, and versus opportunity, perhaps covered some of those just there. Is there anything else that? at the moment, that marketplace, things like that you'd like to share about, yeah, the challenges versus opportunities of what you're doing?
I mean, the challenges generally everyone knows about, right? That it's a tough time for commercial property. Um, More generally, the challenges of the property industry are there's numerous pitfalls. Like I don't like the property industry, right? I think there's a lot of like unethical practices that go on. Um, there's a lot of property that is about, particularly on the residential side, finding vulnerable people and exploiting them, which I don't, I mean, really turns me off. But all the more reason to get into a space, right, and do
Yeah.
things differently and do things more ethically, right, which is one of my founding values. So I guess the challenge is that's really facing me is getting the project started. But I only want to get it started if I can work with like-minded, purpose-driven professionals with this social ethos. I mean, people tell me that maybe like your ethics and profit are kind of non sequiturs, but I don't think they have to be. I think you can find a synergy. And even maybe like for the right people, they'll gravitate towards a
Hmm.
business that sets itself up as like interested in sustainability, interested in ethics, interested in social causes. And one thing we want to do when we get the business cooking is have some sort of wing of Rebel Workspace where we're investing in socially oriented projects out of the profits as well. It is going to be a for-profit company, but we want to use
Yeah.
some of those profits to actively change the world. I'm calling it, if I ever run my own business coaching program, I'm calling it conscious capitalism. I'm branding that now. A kind of an ethics
Copyright.
driven. Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, yeah, if short-term pain, perhaps if you're looking longer term to create a business that is purposeful versus profitable as soon as possible. Um, so fair play to you on that and having that kind of clarity of determination. What's the biggest lesson you've learned to date throughout all that you've done, Richard? So, yeah, starting from, I guess, getting into property, or even at 18 and then coming through to today. What's the biggest lesson you can share throughout your business journey?
There's so many. Again, I love talking about this.
Yeah.
I love hanging around with entrepreneurs and founders, um, and listening to founder stories. This it's the best university you could ever go to, the world of entrepreneurship. I say that as someone who spent 40 years of his life in a university, right? When universities, for all they're good, they're not good at teaching what I'm just going to describe, which is basically um, just to take action, just to get there in the arena, to use that quote from Roosevelt that everyone talks about. Get into the arena and actually start taking action. Theory is useless without it being actually turned into action. You learn so much more by just getting in there, making mistakes, figuring things out as you go along. That's not to say that you start without a plan, because I've made mistakes doing that, right? But I think you have to start. One of the hardest things for me was getting over a form of procrastination where
Mhm.
I always felt like, and maybe this is from my academic background, that I always needed to learn a little bit more. I always needed to do another course. I always needed to read another book. The plan needed to be refined a little bit. And what I realized, partly through Jungian work, but mainly through just getting there in the trenches and just trying to like start entrepreneurial ventures, is that all of that procrastination is a fear-based defense, a really
Mhm.
complex fear-based defense. You're just scared of people judging you. Or won't it be embarrassing if I say, hey, I'm the big property hotshot and my business goes down? Hey, won't it be embarrassing if I say I'm going to do this and it fails? But it won't really, and no one cares. Um, get over yourself. Just take action, be that person in the arena. There's a great line from Cody Sanchez, who's awesome, by the way. I'm sure people are aware of Cody Sanchez's
Yeah,
work. She quotes her dad with a bit of advice from her dad, and it goes something like, you know you're not really in the game until you wake up in the middle of the night, absolutely panicking, not knowing what to do next. But re that's a sort of a joke, but it's really true, right? That's
yeah,
when you have to confront your imposter syndrome. That's when you have to really make tough decisions. Yeah, the entrepreneurial ride is a roller coaster, but once you see like the freedom and the potential in comparison to the trap, even the golden handcuffs of a working career, right? You can't unsee
yeah,
it, and
yeah,
you love that thrill. So yeah, I love hanging around with entrepreneurs because they've all kind of had that little switch
yeah. It's
triggered
nice,
them.
yeah. It's getting to a point where you realize I am all of those things. I am failures, I am successes, I am the in between. I'm not going to stop failing, I'm not going to stop succeeding. Like everything is potential.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's okay. I'm not one thing and I ain't the other. I'm potentially all of these things and stepping back and realizing that and then going, oh, okay, right. I understand that now. So that fear that was holding you back, yeah, it's going to keep on coming around, but that's okay. Just keep on getting a bloody nose.
Exactly. Exactly. Exercise and meditation every morning, I feel like snaps
Yeah,
me out of that. It's the one, two of
yeah,
perfect mindset. But I have to face those fears, that imposter syndrome on a
yeah.
daily basis still.
That's it. I say I don't think they really go away, do they? Because they're
Uh,
it's sort of it's detachment from that, as in they're going to come, but I understand that that's going to happen. This is how I'm going to feel. This is how I will deal with that when it happens, and keep on moving on and making decisions based on what feels right, not just a historical thought pattern, perhaps, should we say?
there's a brilliant line from one of my heroes, Charles Bukowski. If anyone knows him, he's a beat poet, the poet laureate of Skid Row. He only became famous when he was like over 50. And for the first half of his life, he lived like doing menial jobs as a kind of post worker and doing other stuff. But they made it big as a poet. It's great, like a success story in a way, but also
Yeah,
he's like a real countercultural figure. There's a great line I've got here from him, which encapsulates all of that.
yeah,
Um, Let me just read it out for a second. It's really good. So this is Bukowski. If you're going to try, go all the way. Otherwise, don't even start. This could mean losing girlfriends, wives, relatives, maybe even your mind. It could mean not eating for 3 or 4 days. It could mean freezing on a park bench. It could mean jail. It could mean derision. It could mean mockery, isolation. Isolation is the gift. All the others are a test of your endurance, of how much you really want to do it. And you'll do it despite rejection and the worst odds. And it will be better than anything else you can imagine. If you're going to try, go all the way. There's no other feeling like that. You will be alone with the gods, and the nights will flame with fire. You will ride life straight to perfect laughter. It's the only good fight there is. Boom. How good is that about the entrepreneur?
that's brilliant. I've not heard that before. Thank you very much for sharing that. I was going along with that all the way. Brilliant. I absolutely love that, and I'll be copying and pasting that somewhere after we get off. That's fantastic. So, I'm going to ask you the inspiration question. Um, could understand? I mean, got a fair understanding from the conversation so far, but again, if you're penning down inspiration for you to do what you do, what is that?
The inspiration for me to do what I do is just anything and anyone who breaks the mold, you know. Could be like a post-punk band that I've seen at Brudenell Social Club. It could be like a fashion designer working in the Cantamanto waste market in Ghana who is making cool clothes out of textile waste. It could be, I don't know, the design of a cool bar that I've happened across on one of my Airbnb trips. Just anything that kind of like shows that the world can be otherwise. I suppose, you know, that's the thing that unites my personal politics and my kind of aesthetic politics, right? The belief that we can change the
Yeah,
world in small or grand ways.
very good. Like that. Thank you. So, advice, if someone was starting out, we're talking property industry, what's your advice to based on hindsight, I guess?
My advice is don't rush and spend all your money on property courses, but do get a mentor.
Nice.
The property industry is predatory as it really is. They use the property coaching industry, right? They use lots of really, really sophisticated NLP psychological techniques to get you to run to the back of the room and buy loads of courses, which are then mechanisms to upsell you into ridiculously overpriced masterminds. Um, and they work to the point where sometimes, I sit back and almost want to clap. Wow, that's a brilliant bit of psychological manipulation. It's great at selling. Um, but you can spend very easily 50 grand on property training courses if you get locked into the system. My advice would be to find a like-minded mentor, do targeted networking, um, find as much information as you can on YouTube and then take action. One of the things, actually, since you mention it, that I want to develop is a little kind of property investors kind of club, but I haven't quite figured it out yet. It might be like under the Rebel brand, but some sort of an alternative kind of club, not an investment course, but a space where like-minded entrepreneurs in property can hang out and share ideas.
Nice. The good share. Thank
Mm,
you for that piece of advice. It's obviously come from experience. So
mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, good share. So lastly then, Richard, if people were keen to get in touch or if there's any latest news around what you're up to, so yeah, you can share that, whether it's a website, contact, email. I mean, we'll put it in the copy underneath the video anyway. But yeah, in terms of contact, latest news, feel free to go through it now.
Yeah, I mean, the very best place to contact me at the moment, in fact, I would encourage it, is on LinkedIn because I'm trying to build up my profile on LinkedIn this year. It's one of my key things. I'm on there daily, so you can always get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I've just launched a newsletter on LinkedIn too, which I'm pretty proud of, called the New Creative Economy.
Mhm.
And there's a bit of property in there, a bit of radical philosophy, a bit of number crunching on the creative industries. So it goes on a very interdisciplinary kind of journey, which is very reflective of me and my interests, right? But I hope it'll be interesting to many people broadly. I had one just last week on Warp Records, the label from Sheffield. Before then, uh, what's called waste colonialism, where we dump all of our textile fast fashion waste on Africa. More about the numbers of the UK creative industries. So yeah, follow the newsletter and just hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm on there all the time. Dr.
Fantastic.
Richard Hudson-Miles.
Brilliant. Thanks, Richard. It's been a real pleasure talking with you. And thank you for sharing all that you have, the vast experience, and that quote. That's brilliant. I wish you all the best for the future success of Rebel Workspace. And yeah, good luck with everything.
Thanks so much, Mike. It's been a pleasure. Really good fun.